All right, good morning, folks. Today is the 17th of October, 2025. Hope you all doing well this morning. Got a lot to talk about today. We're still talking about the tropics, and we have, happy Friday. Let's step back a minute. I hope you all had a good week. So, we're still talking about the tropics here to start off, and this is the infrared satellite loop, right? Higher, colder cloud tops out here indicate more convection, and you can see there's a deep trough over the good portion the Western Atlantic. Yeah, this tropical wave everybody's been talking about, generally moving this way. Lowrider, kind of staying out of the flow this way, kind of skirting underneath, and forecast to generally move in this direction into the Caribbean Sea and potentially develop somewhere in this area, uh, which is interesting because most times a year the Caribbean is closed for business, at least for development. Once it normally reaches here, at least early in the season, it won't develop. But later in the season, like it is now, seems to be more favorable. But we'll have to see. And we have a non-tropical low pressure system up here that has a 10% chance of development that's potentially move this way. Could become subtropical or tropical storm in the next 2 to 7 days. Low chance there. Uh, let's see. This is the latest outlook from National Hurricane Center as of 2 a.m. Yeah, this disturbance here. It's moving over the Gulf Stream right now, or will be. Warm waters in the Gulf Stream will help fuel it, at least maybe 10% chance anyway. So really low chance, but once it curves back in the colder waters, it likely won't do anything more. But we could get named storm out of it. And this is, of course, of more interest to most people because once it reaches the Caribbean, it could go a lot of different ways. Could go this way, go this way, go this way, which I don't think is likely given the troughiness it's existed over the eastern U.S. For most of this year, but most likely either this way, this way. But you can't rule anything out at this point. It hasn't developed yet, so um, I would say if it doesn't develop by the time it reaches here, it'll probably develop later on out in this area. But we'll just have to see here. Um, so, real quickly, I'm going to go over the ensemble guidance for the Atlantic just to show you all what is going on here. This is Google DeepMind. This is 3 days from now. You can see the tropical wave out here. Maybe a depression at this point. These are ensemble members, right? All the lows represent one ensemble member. And yesterday, the Google DeepMind wasn't that aggressive with developing this thing, but to see the model, what it does now, majority of the members, which are a lot of them, move it over Hispaniola and out into the open Atlantic. Some keep it moving to the west. But the Google DeepMind has performed really well this year, so definitely a possibility. And this is almost the end of the month, so 10 days from now. So we have a lot of time to watch it, but this is 5 days from now. So there's another Google DeepMind GenCast model. This is on the. Let's see if I can get the latest run on this. There we go. go back a little bit. The GenCast really isn't. I don't know how many members this has, but it has a few more members than it did. Some move it to the north, and some actually develop a low up here. That one I was just showing you, and some move this one in the Caribbean to the west here. So definitely support from the ensembles, but the GenCast doesn't seem that bullish on it. This is the GFS ensemble. You can see what it wants to do. I think it's seeing an extratropical low up here right now. It kind of loops this thing. All right, the other low in the South Atlantic doesn't really show anything. And it wants to develop a low off the South American coast, which is separate from this here. But so it kind of gets things all muddled up, and it's all over the place. Lows everywhere. Because the GFS is a global model, it's likely shown. It's not really tuned for tropical, so it's showing a lot of extratropical systems too on the map. So, European ensemble. This is a little bit. Let me see if I can get the latest on it. There we go. This is pretty far out here as far as it goes. Let me see what are 204 hours. It just wants to hang the system down in here and just fester down here in the Southern Caribbean Sea. So there's still a lot of uncertainty with this, and that would be expected this far out. But I think confidence is increasing, at least at this point, that we're going to get something developing here in the Caribbean. We need to watch this. We really do. But we have plenty of time, and really the short term is our biggest concern right now. We have nothing in the short term that concerns us in the continental U.S. except for severe weather. So I'm going to go over that next. Okay, so this is the mid-level war vapor loop of the continental U.S. and North America. Really give you a broad idea what's going on here. We have looks like a short wave moving through the flow here. Complex evolution here. We have another. It's like a surface low moving up this way. Maybe another weak surface low here. We also have this general flow diving south. And what's going to happen is all this is going to phase, eventually develop a deeper trough. Surface low is going to move up this way. They're going to develop up in here. Sorry. Going to get like a weak surface low develop in this area, but not very strong at all, like 1,008 millibar. So not likely much of an impact there. Maybe a little too soon in the year for it to get a surface low this far south. But as we all know, surface low is important when you're talking about rotation in the low levels of the atmosphere and shear. If you have a surface low nearby, especially strong when you get a more rotation in the lower levels, and it can help spawn tornadoes if you're looking for tornadoes. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying those are their parameters, right? If everything else is favorable, right? So the big show, at least right now, is tomorrow for this flow, and the biggest event, let's just say, generally in this area. If you look at the infrared satellite for right now, not a lot of strong convection ongoing, some just spotty convection. We'll go to the continental U.S. and overlay with the radar real quickly. You see some overrunning moisture maybe up here in the UP of Michigan. Some moisture trimming northward, and you have some moisture on the backside of this low here, up here in North Dakota. Other than that, not much going on really. So, what does the severe weather outlook look like for the next couple of days? You have a categorical risk today, marginal, right? And you have a wind risk, low wind risk, 5%, and a 5% hail risk today in the central U.S. No tornado risk today, or it's very small. That's going to change tomorrow. You can see we have a large 2% with a 5% tornado risk in Arkansas, Tennessee, parts of Missouri, parts of Kentucky, extreme eastern Oklahoma, extreme northwest Mississippi. So, quite a large area here. And, of course, the biggest threat tomorrow is wind at 15%, and that's what's driving the slight risk, right? Wind risk. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but there you go. And surrounded by a 5% wind risk. Hail, 15% chance of hail exceeding an inch in diameter within 25 miles of a point in the yellow, and a smaller risk surrounding it. And for day 3, as a trough moves through into the northeast here, mid-Atlantic, northeast Ohio Valley, you got a marginal risk, mostly probably driven by hail or wind, not tornadoes, but we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, a little bit deeper dive in the synoptic pattern that's driving this. This is the IR satellite again. So this is starting out today, right? And this shows low level moisture dew points, which is a good measure of moisture in the atmosphere. I don't know why this is stuck up there, but sorry about that. You see the moisture surges northward, and then on Saturday, you see how 60, 70 dew points are all the way up into the Great Lakes, kind of pinched off here in the southeast with maybe a wedge front, drier air. And you see the hint of like a surface low right here. This is a surface analysis with the dew points on top, like in the contours, and these contours are pressures, right? And so you have what looks like 1,008 surface low right here. You can see the backing of the winds right here. And what this is HREF. It shows all the short range model guidance, short-term range model guidance combined into one to like an ensemble, right? So it's a good way to look at things and visualize it, right? So plenty of moisture here, not any shortage of that, right? So now let's look at the different levels of flow here associated with it. This is 500 millibars, which is mid-level flow. You can see this low right now moving to the north. See a jet streak moving south there. See the flow starts to be enhanced here going northward to mid levels. By tomorrow, a pretty strong jet streak right along this corridor here. So, what's it look like at 700 millibars, which is a little bit higher in the atmosphere, maybe 25, 30,000 feet? Go through time. You can make out maybe right here what looks like a little short wave perturbation moving through the flow. And these short waves that move through can enhance the convective activity and also um, provide a better chance for tornadoes if that as it moves through. But looks like it's pretty small, but very subtle there. I have a bunch of different little perturbations moving through the flow here. So we'll have to see how that affects convection. Um, but you can see what's happening here. I mean, this is diving southward, and then you have a really strong flow to the north here. So, uh, with the amount of forcing and cold front eventually pushing to the south, initially maybe some supercells ahead of the line, but mostly a wind threat. Okay, what does even closer to the surface look like? Let's take this off. Surface low up here, and moon through time. The low level jet wants to pick up a little bit as we go towards the evening on the eastern side of this. Not very strong, but maybe strong enough to enhance the shear um, and transport moisture to the north. You know, low level jet, when you have it, um, intends it tends to enhance the moisture and strength of winds at the lower levels, and can really enhance convection too. So, what does surface-based cape look like? The cape is the fuel that drives these storms, right? And it's dependent on moisture and heating. And the darker red, you get into the reds and greens and yellows. You have, if you have over, say, 1,500 of cape, 1,000 of cape this time of year, you could potentially, it helps drive the fuel storms. See where the highest cape levels are in the blue here? And even way up north here might be enough to drive storms for this time of year, depending on the shear and other forcing that may be present. You see how it kind of cuts off and wanes at night there. So, storm relative velocity. These values can help determine potential tornado development. And if it gets over 200 joules per kilogram, definitely enhances that. And in the greens and yellows, you can see where they are. Okay. This is Saturday at 11, which is kind of early SUTC. So um, we might have firing of convection pretty early in the day, which could help tamper the overall tornado threat. Builds up again a little bit towards the evening. So 11 UTC is like pretty early in the morning, like 5 in the morning on Saturday. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And this is 0 to 3 kilometer storm relative velocity, and values above 150 are favorable for severe weather. See, quite early, those values peak out. And of course, on the backside, they are even stronger because of the flow on the east side of the Rockies. But kind of messy situation here. I'm going to overlay this with updraft helicity swaths here. You can see little dots here where the updraft helicity meets a certain value, mostly in this area here, which indicates maybe rotating storms, okay, and a few up here and some up here. Let's take, well, can't take that off, but that's an indicator of that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. These are probabilities that are defined by the Storm Prediction Center of winds, right, exceeding um, let's see, wind exceeding, oh, these are the ultrafillicity. Let's see. Anyway, winds exceeding a certain threshold. So this is what's driving the slight risk on Saturday. I guess when I go to the end of it, it shows all the little max, all the little updraft helicity swaths that appear on it, right? So you can see where the yellow is there, 15% chance of winds exceeding severe limits. um, Tornado. Let's go through this here. You can see why they have it's a pretty small area here, but you can see why the tornado risk is what it is. Quite low though, not too impressive. All right, we already did wind. Hail risk is a little bit higher here, right? Still marginal, really. But so as far as timing goes, let's look at that real quickly. Go back out and go to the HRR model and zoom out. All right. Go to 6Z and look at the reflectivity. This is starting Saturday, Friday, going into Saturday. Convection firing out here in Texas, which is interesting. It is showing some, let's zoom in this a little bit. It is showing some convective elements ahead of the line here. So I'm going to zoom into the South Central US. Take a look at this. If this comes to pass, and you see I know I'm kind of stepping back and forth here. You can see these updraft felicities, these lines indicate rotation. Okay, doesn't mean you got a tornado, but you have some storms here ahead of this main line here. And the semi-discrete to start with. You maybe have some down here, but and eventually it develops into a more coherent line and then pushes through the south here. So, and this is late Saturday, So some really strong storms moving through the area at this point. Initially, we start out with nothing really, and if we can prevent stuff from getting going, and it can get warm enough, definitely have the chance of having some discrete stuff form ahead of the line. But we'll have to see. I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to go a little bit further north here and show you this. Almost a looks like a warm front or something right up in here. And wherever you have something like that, you could get more rotation or an outflow boundary or something going on right there. So let's zoom out one more time. Midwest. See the line here going through Saturday. Some morning convection. And then we have the system move to the north here. So that's the general idea of things. So hope that helps, y'all. I'm going to zoom back out real quick. Go through it once again. Storms, firing pretty early afternoon in central Oklahoma. Storms ahead in the north of the line. Maybe rotating here in the warm sector. Then kind of congeals into an MCS. And what happens is the cold front will outrun the trough to the south here, and then the forcing will outrun the moisture, and luckily won't get much going here in the southeast as it pushes through. So going back to the map here, we have that severe weather outlook. What's excessive rainfall outlook for today? Nothing for today. For tomorrow, we have a slight risk in the middle part of the country with that rainfall coming through, surrounded by slight risk there. And then moves up to the north on day 3. Okay, as far as current national hazards go, not a lot going on, although we have some freeze warnings and some high wind warnings. In the northern high plains and the Intermountain West here. Freeze warnings up here into the northeast, and some dense fog into California here. So I forgot to mention I was going to do this earlier. Sorry about that. So what are the temperatures going to look like? So maximum temperatures, you can see where the cold front coming through here. Highs in the 60s, 70s. Quite warm Saturday ahead of that cold front. Cooling off some. Warm up again in the Midwest. And the deep south gets really hot again. 80s, close to 90 degrees. Relatively cool in the southeast, but overall pretty hot in Texas. You get through Tuesday. Northern tier is relatively chilly. You can see the low temps here. Move back a little bit. This map isn't that great for showing this. I thought I'd give this a try, but these are the low temps. See overall, nice and at Monday night and the Sunday as a cold front moves through 40s, 50s for the good part of the nation. for lows. Excuse me. All right, so get the general idea here. Although quite hot in the Texas, that's hot for this time of year. Moving through time here. I'm not sure about this, but anyway, get that general idea. The maximum temperature on next Friday is not much of a difference on Texas, is it? That's crazy. Anyway, what does the precip look like? Total precip. Greens, oranges. Oranges more precip, of course. See where the swath is here in the middle part of the country. Move through. We go through time. This is the 22nd, is in the middle of next week. And again, more precip for the maybe the lower Mississippi Valley into Oklahoma at the end of the period. So, and then for the Northwest and Western U.S. and into the Northeast has the most precip through the 27th, which is 10 days. So I got to find a better way to visualize these things. Sorry about that, guys, but that's all there is for today. Hope you have a great day.